Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Today, we are joined by Julie Lunsford, who is the founder of the InJoy Workforce Solutions. Julie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about InJoy Workforce Solutions?
Yes, so like you said, I'm Julie Lunsford, and I have recently segued into working from Joy. I'll share a little bit of my Working Genius testimony later, but basically I put together InJoy Workforce Solutions in order to look at work through the lens of joy with the thought process that joy equals productivity. So I use Working Genius assessments to lead teams into looking at work and conducting work through their geniuses, which is where they find their joy and their energy. And then I discovered in that, I found my passion for how I like to use joy and the Working Genius methodology through hiring and matching people with their passions that they can pursue in life.
When clients come to InJoy Workforce Solutions, what are some of the pain points and problems they're experiencing that you're helping them solve?
So what I have discovered as I have been introduced into the small business world after coming from a corporate background is that small businesses tend to either start recruiting for themselves. They start experiencing rapid growth and just kind of starts throwing people into seats to make sure that the work still takes place. So I like to come in to a small business and take that off of their shoulders and not only bring them hires that will work for them and can do the work, but new hires that find joy in what they are going to be doing in that time period. And that usually equals a lot of job satisfaction. Not only that, something that somebody can do in 60 hours worth of work, if they're in their joy, tend to do it between 25 and 30 hours. And so they're much more efficient. And then there's also a great retention rate after that as well.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Working Genius methodology?
Well, let's see. I before we go into my experience with Working Genius, I would like you to tell me a little bit about your experience with Working Genius, and I'll kind of piggyback off of that.
That's fair. I would not be hosting the show if it was not for the Working Genius methodology. We brought in Armando LeDuc, who is the CEO of LeDuc Entertainment that puts on this show, brought in the Working Genius methodology. He had everybody take it, and it broke it all down into your two types of Working Genius. And I found out anyway that I was WI. It's a widget system. Is that right? It's widget?
Yes. I'll go through the widget in just a moment. But yes.
I was WI. I was creative dreamer. It was my niche. And it broke it all down. And Armando came back after reviewing everybody's sort of assessment. And he came to everyone and said, well, everybody in the company is sitting in the correct seat, except for you, Adrian. Oh, God. And I was editing video for the company. I thought I enjoyed my job. And all of a sudden, Armando said, well, buddy, you're going to be hosting a podcast. I said, oh, can it be about comic books? No, Adrian, it can't be about comic books. And he moved me into this podcast host position. And I got to tell you, it was an immediate fit for me. And I have enjoyed working for LeDuc Entertainment the past, I think, 3 or 4 months that I've been doing this, more so than I ever did editing video. So Working Genius sort of changed my job title and changed everything about my relationship with LeDuc Entertainment. I wouldn't be hosting this show without it. And I mean, like you said, there's a reason that there's joy in InJoy Workforce Solutions.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that is that is a perfect example, and I love that. And I know when we're in our mastermind group, Armando brings this up over and over and over again. So I have a similar experience when Working Genius was brought to my attention. I was working in a finance role, and had quickly moved up into a leadership position, and so that I was like, oh, I'm in a leadership position. This is amazing. I love this. And started working in operations and finance. And when I took the Working Genius assessment, I kind of even like closed my eyes to it. I'm like, nope. This could not be true. And it even took me a moment to believe that Working Genius or living and working in your joy even matters at all. Like it took me a minute to drink that Kool-Aid. And so I am a mom of 4. And so my mindset had been for a while, whatever it takes to keep things going, whatever it takes to put food on the table. And then I started kind of realizing, okay, I mean, as a mom operating a household, operating a business, why would I want to strain my brain anymore by like living and working outside of my joy? Why would I not want to be putting my energy and my passion through what actually brings me joy? And then I even realized I was probably doing others a disservice by doing that. I wasn't the most valuable or energetic or efficient employee at that point as well. So I then just decided to start sharing the Working Genius model with others once I really drank that Kool-Aid. And so I'll pause there, just go down kind of what the Working Geniuses are. So WIDGET is the acronym for the different geniuses that you have. And so it's, and I'm using altitude as I'm kind of describing these. So it's wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. And so my geniuses are wonder and discernment. And so the idea is that this work is getting done in this fashion, whether you have gaps in it or not, which could cause turbulence. If you have someone in each one of these positions, then work can be done effortlessly, flawlessly, and again, with people being their ultimate selves, working in their joy and being the most productive for the company. So when I discovered that I was kind of at the top of this altitude, I was living more in kind of a dreamer mode. I know you said that you wonder and invention is in.
Yeah, it's invention, right? Not
right.
Yeah, that was mine. I was WI.
Yes, so you're right. You're right there at the top. So you live and breathe at the top. And most of my living or working experience had been kind of at the bottom. I have been using enablement and tenacity, and I can do that. I can work in those environments. I can provide that part of the work. It's just whether I should be doing that, whether that is bringing me my ultimate joy and fulfillment. And one of the bigger aha moments for me was when I was working with someone who loved Excel. And I was in Excel, up to my neck with finance. And when she came in and I asked her a question about Excel, and she was able to do something that would have taken me an hour and 15 minutes. That was just like a rifle. And she loved it. I could not even fathom that there was someone that loved Excel spreadsheets. So I'm doing a disservice to her by even, not allowing her to be in this role. Right. So that's where joy and productivity meet. And that's the biggest and best thing about this tool is you can take a PI, a DISC, Colby, all these different things. And it's just a lengthy paragraph. And you can't come to a meeting and be like, this is how you got to work with me. Right. And it doesn't work like that. And WIDGET, you can literally have WIDGET posted somewhere and know where someone is supposed to fall in a meeting.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm going sip, sip, sip. Like I drank the Kool-Aid, it worked out for me, and it was one of those things, that when it was first brought to us, I was like, oh God, another one of these personality tests. It's not a personality test. That's not what it is at all. I mean, it really, and it's one of those things that, you know, we mentioned Armando, you know, and I'm showing it around, and they're going, "You're WI, you're WI, you're W." I'm like, I've been trying to tell you guys, you know.
Exactly. And we will do what we can do. And when I interview people, they will tell me, their resume will tell me what they've done in the past and what they can do. And so when I'm interviewing someone, I take a different approach. So the ultimate hiring manager for a company is going to be able to dig down into like the actual skills that it takes a person, but I'm gauging whether they're actually going to be productive in the job. I'm gauging whether they're actually going to show up as their full available selves when they come to the job. And I'm gauging whether they are actually going to stay in the job. And this falls in line with work culture as well. But when you start talking about a task and you hear someone give you a flat line of, well, this is what I do and this is how I do it. But as soon as you hit that golden spot, you can hear the elevation in their voice. You can see the change in their body language. And you know that what you are asking them to do, to come to work to do every single day, they are going to take pride and joy in it. They're going to be more efficient in it. And they're not going to drop this task down to the bottom on as far as procrastinating on the list. Right. And that is very important for people staying and being productive and engaged in an environment.
I'm curious, you know, so it's this two sort of, you know, WIDGET. Is there, I mean, I don't want to call it a personality type. I guess you'd call it a working genius. Is there a working genius type that is more common? And is there a working genius type that is more rare?
So more common is having that, like someone staying kind of at the top, like your WI. I'm WD. I don't see a lot of WDs. And just to explain, so wonder and discernment, it's kind of an issue for me in the sense that I have ideas. I am very much in visionary mode, and the discerner will come in and poke holes in ideas and say, well, what have you thought about this? And did you think about this? So it helps the visionary and the inventor even decide if we should go any further with this idea. Should we change anything about it before we take it across the finish line? So when I'm in wonder mode and then my discernment kicks in, it is literally like an angel and a devil on my shoulder. It's like, well, should you do this? But maybe you should. What are you? And so it is very conflicting because I'm poking holes in my own ideas. And those who have discernment can relate to people rolling their eyes in meetings at them because they're like, oh, here they go. And so many times I've heard before even the working genius language, like, we're not there yet, Julie. Do not start asking questions yet about whether this is going to work. I'm getting to it. I'm always have to be. And that's where the widget model also helps is, where are we in the process? Are we in wonder? Are we in discernment? Are we down here at the finish line? And when we're down here at the finish line with tenacity, wonder actually really needs to shut up. And and no one's offended by that. You just say, hey, wonder, we're not there anymore. This is where we are. And when you know the language, there's no more guilt and there's no more judgment in the meeting process.
Right. You know, and it's really funny too, because I know that there's, what does that come out to, like 16 different types? Is that right? That are combinations and all that?
I think it may be
more.
It may be a little more.
I was gonna say I gotta do the math on that. Yeah.
I have a sheet on the pairings, and the pairings are great. And even like to go back to your original question, I think so. Somebody that Armando sent me earlier had a WT, and so wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, tenacity. I cannot even imagine the conflict. And I haven't been able to talk to this person yet, but I want to talk to them so badly. Like, you are up here in wonder idea mode, and then you also have the ability to take it across the finish line. And I can see where the geniuses in the middle need to come into that, because if you have an idea and you're ready to take it across the finish line, then there's a lot in the middle that needs to take place with those other geniuses.
So it's more common for the types to be right there next to each other than that far apart.
I see that the most, and I can see where that, and it is actually easier to speak into that. The people that have the high elevation and the low elevation in their geniuses, they are a wealth of knowledge to me. I love talking to them. They can explain to me how they do life. So those, in my experience, have been the
Right.
unique ones.
You know, it's so funny. Like I know that mine was the creative dreamer, right? And I'm in a meeting and Armando's going like, "So Adrian, you're the creative dreamer?" And I'm going like, "Oh, sorry, dude, I was doodling." What?
And see, and you're not efficient. And that's another thing about the meetings. Like sometimes you can even you can have a brainstorming meeting and have the people in the upper elevations of the geniuses in that meeting. And then the people that like the GETs that just want the information to go and do what they need to do, they can come in later. And so anyone out there that you come out of a meeting exhausted, it's usually because that meeting was not in your genius, and you could have probably come in at the last 10 minutes and been completely satisfied and energetic when you left out of there.
Yeah. When did you realize there was a need for InJoy Workforce Solutions? What was the moment that clicked for you where you said, "I've got to found this. Not enough people are understanding this. There's a need for this."
So the nuts and bolts of Working Genius is usually what you'll do, what a certified facilitator will do is go in and do a workshop. And so I was formerly working with John Glahn on my operating manual with these workshops. And I offer these workshops as well. But I noticed that there's this falling off point afterwards. So there definitely needs to be coaching afterwards. But I was being contacted by human resources people about how they can come in and fill in the gaps so if you have a team map, you can see if you're missing anybody in invention or missing anybody in discernment. And so the idea was then, okay, let's hire towards these gaps. And so then I started realizing, okay, we need a job description that actually speaks to someone's geniuses. And I'm a word nerd. I love wordsmithing. Mm-hmm. So giving me a job description to go out and find the synonyms or whatever for different verbiage in there, I was in my highlight moment and being able to do that. And then I realized, okay, I can take these job descriptions, use my wonder and discernment, go and get candidates that. So if you're in these geniuses, these different tasks will appeal to you when you're looking at the job description. And so then when I started interviewing people, I have discernment as my genius. I just started realizing there's a way to take this beyond a team building workshop and use it overall as acquiring new people into the team where those geniuses are not there. And then also when I was doing hiring for a company in Michigan, I realized after hiring for them after a couple of years that the retention is there also. So when John and I would do workshops, there would be a little blurb about the hiring in there, about how companies could take it beyond. But I realized they needed the help and the assistance along that to understand it and also keep the language going. Because if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Absolutely. Now, I know what it looked like for me when I wasn't working in my genius, but could you speak a little bit about what it looks like when someone is not working in their genius?
Well, since I was okay, so yes, everything that I'm probably going to say is going to resonate. Because the reason that I am here, the reason that you are here, is because we didn't know what we didn't know, and now that we know better, we can do better, right? So, I describe it. So when I'm interviewing someone, just because of my own experience, I ask them, when you do a task, when you go home at night. What are the tasks and the things that you're doing in the day when you go home and you have nothing left for your family? And then what are the tasks that when you go home, you feel energized and ready to take on the world and like do your second half, when you get there, like do the second half of the game of the day, then you're like ramped up and ready to go. So it is burnout, fatigue, irritability, like all these
Right.
all the things you hear in those prescription commercials that are side effects. That's what shows up, and that's how you know how you can gauge. So again, working genius is towards joy and energy equaling
Right.
productivity. And so for me, being in working with numbers and balancing out things in QuickBooks and working in Excel spreadsheets, I really needed to come home and take a nap before I can even like intersect
Right.
with my family. So, and then again, it's taking you longer to do the things. And I am a genius at procrastinating on things that I can't stand. So if you're living and working in a job where you're constantly bumping up the things that bring you joy just naturally and bringing things down to the procrastinating when someone's asking you, like you said, you would have this 3 days ago and you haven't done it yet. And you're like chastising yourself. Like, why can't I get it together?
Right.
It's because it's not your natural bent. It's not your purpose. I always say when people are in their geniuses, that is kind of what they were born with. That is their purpose. That is their calling. There's working competencies that are the next two. And what I say is that people have experienced life in different ways, and what life has thrown at them, they've learned to become really good at those things. And then the frustrations are just the things that they just do because someone said they had to, right?
Right. Absolutely. Like I said, I was in a video editor position, and it was one of those things where, I'm capable of editing video. I know how to edit video, but it wasn't something where I was going, oh boy, let me fire up Adobe Premiere to get these videos edited. It just, it was, for me, it was tedious, and I was looking at, videos, and my eyes were blinking at different times, and it was just it was really interesting, kind of that change. Now I wake up and I look forward to getting on the show, and I look forward to speaking with people on the podcast. I'm curious, when you go into a business, when a client comes to InJoy Workforce Solutions, is there a discovery phase that you kind of have to go through first?
So, yeah. So, I mean, it still is important to know what the job is and the language of what the company is speaking, right? Like what they ultimately want, what
Right.
has worked for them in the past, what hasn't worked for them in the past. And several of the companies that I've worked for, again, have just experienced exponential growth. And they started putting people in positions and then realizing that it's not working out for them. They're not doing a great job of being their own recruiter. And so what has and has not worked for them is very important, probably more of what has not worked for them. And then also just introducing them, if they don't understand Working Genius, then that is a great time for them to intersect with that and possibly do a workshop to even get the whole team involved.
Right.
I recommend that because you're not going to really understand. You have to learn the language of joy, I would say. So there is that discovery process, and then I can take their job description and say, based on what we're talking about here, these are the geniuses we need to go towards. And then ultimately, a candidate would take the assessment. But yes, just sitting down, it takes 30 to 45 minutes before I can take the job description and hit the ground running to go out and searching for candidates.
Now, I obviously have taken the Working Genius assessment, but for those who haven't taken the Working Genius assessment, can you share with us maybe some sample questions of what would be in there?
How long ago did you take it?
What now? I was 6 months, less than 5 months, 3 or 4 months, somewhere 6 to 3 months ago. Somewhere I was going to say I'd have to go back and look how long I've been doing this podcast.
Okay, it's been several years since I've taken this, and I've actually thought about that. I need to have a better. I cannot remember. It is very similar to Myers-Briggs as far as like different things that situational type things, but when I send out an email asking someone to take the assessment, I always preface it with, you need to look at this not from what you can do, because you can edit. I can do finance, look at it from what brings you joy and energy. Like when you're reading the sentence of what of the situation that you are in based on the question on the assessment, what do you feel? What lights you up? What brings you joy and energy in that? And that ultimately makes the results, the real results versus I can do this. No, what do you feel when you do that?
Yeah. And I just went into my email here and just brought it up and looked, and I knew that in my email there were the results here. And so I
What
just
are your frustrations?
I just brought it up, and it was pondering the possibility of greater potential and opportunity in a given situation, the genius of wonder, and then creating original and novel ideas and solutions, the genius of inventions. And then I love this because it's anybody that's ever known me, worked with me, it says I love because it's so fitting that says something you might say, "Hey, I think I've got a crazy idea."
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
absolutely spot on. I mean, it just doesn't miss. I'm wondering when you go in and apply these strategies to a business, when a client, when a business does come to InJoy Workforce Solutions, is your strategy to applying the Working Genius methodology? Is it a one size fits all strategy, or do you have to custom tailor things?
So it's very systematized, as in recruiting or and even a workshop. You're going through the same things technically, right? It's a system, it's a methodology that makes sense, but it's the people always that make it the customized event that it is. So every Working Genius workshop is definitely different based on the team that you have, and it is customized to the geniuses on that team, the geniuses that are missing. You go through a meeting scenario that may or may not have worked out, different projects that have not worked out, and overall the pain points of that company and how the geniuses can rid them of those pain points. And then the same thing with recruiting. It's the same system as, posting the job, looking through the resumes, doing the interview process. That is all the same. But again, it's the hires that bring the uniqueness to it. It's the need of the company and overall the culture of the company as well. And I would say I was listening to a podcast the other day that was talking about the shift of leadership is going more towards like authenticity and vulnerability, like overall as a whole. And this is geared towards those companies that truly believe in that, because you can't really get the feel for the company unless the people that you're working with are going to be vulnerable and authentic. And the people that believe that are going to believe that joy actually matters.
Right. Now, obviously, I'm a pretty good testimonial for the effectiveness of this solution. Like I said, we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it didn't work out for me. I wouldn't be in this seat if it didn't work out for me. But I'm wondering, when you think back on all the people, all the companies that you have helped through the Working Genius methodology and InJoy Workforce Solutions, is there a story that really stands out of a business or an individual that you really saw a positive transformation in as a result of your help and guidance?
So I haven't actually gotten permission to share the story, so I'll kind of I'll make it a little bit vague. So I was working for a person that she was working in a certain industry, a certain framework, a certain medical field. And then she could no longer do that because she experienced a side effect of a surgery that was supposed to be simple. And so it completely affected like what she could do going forward in her former practice. And it was very unexpected.
Wow.
So when she could no longer get relief for that issue, she, with her medical background and holistic background, developed a system that would ultimately help her and was able to get her working again. So she had this this ailment that she was able to find a solution for that no one else could find a solution for. So then her whole practice shifted towards offering this solution. And there, I was just inspired, right away. And so, and then this is like the perfect person of like, okay, she was able to make this huge shift and able to bring, joy back into her life. She was also introduced to the Working Genius methodology, and then using it for hiring was seamless. It was just, and then the culture that she even has articulated in her business comes from this background that she's had. And so she is very understanding of how joy can affect her culture, can affect her clients. She also experienced a lot of rapid growth. And so she was like a solopreneur a little bit there. And when you're in that, you actually have to work in all your geniuses, which is a bit cumbersome. But you start realizing, okay, I could teach someone this part of the process and they can take this off of me. I can teach someone this part of the process and they can take this off of me. And then she's able to provide the actual solution, right? So I was able to come in and get the right people into those seats, and the joyful culture that was already there. I was able to immediately get other people working in their joy there, and the retention there has been amazing. I mean, even people, people in management positions, or even the person answering the phone, there are actual people that find joy in these things that some of us, like I said, in that wonder and invention and upper part there can come in and find joy that ultimately promotes your highest and best and your joy as well. And so for me as well, I have been spending a good portion of my life facilitating other people's dreams and trying to stay at the bottom of that part of the Working Genius altitude. And I've been in enablement and tenacity for a long time. And those are actually my frustrations. And so once I started leaning into my wonder and going and started to facilitate my own dreams, when I started talking to people that find their joy in an enablement and tenacity, I could just see how it all works together. Now I am in my genius. And when when dreamers start talking to people with that galvanizing enablement and tenacity, the things that they can do with your dreams is just amazing. Right. When they start living in their genius, they are working in their joy and then also facilitating your dream. And that those people that can come in and just start systematizing things. I've had 15-minute conversations about what my business is, and someone in the enablement and tenacity role can just start spitting out, well, you could do this. And if you do this, then this will take place. And that the way that their mind works is amazing.
Well, Julie, this has been an absolutely awesome conversation. If anybody out there listening could use your help, could use the help of InJoy Workforce Solutions, where can the people find you?
So I am using the website InJoy just to make clear, InJoy with an I, InJoy WFS for workforcesolutions.com. And then you can reach me also at julie@enjoywfs.com as well. And then my Calendly link is also on my website as well.
Julie, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome.
Thank you. It's been an amazing time. This is stuff I love to talk about. And I love that we both drank the Kool-Aid and are here.
Definitely. Well, thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Julie, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.